Hi, guys. I'm WRBL News 3's Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald, and I hope you're all doing great during this time. I'm so excited to read to you today, and as part of the Chattahoochee Valley Library's Summer Reading Challenge, take a look at this. I'll be reading one of my absolute favorite books, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs by Jody and Ron Barrett. Now, it's published by Aladdin Paperbacks. Well, so here we go. You ready? My favorite, like I said. Okay, I'm going to read the page, and since I'm doing this socially distancing way, I'll let you boys and girls and adults and all of us here read the pages as we go along, okay? So I'll show them to you, so stay with me. Okay, start out. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. You know what I'm talking about. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we each could eat. And Grandpa was doing the flipping. And there he is in the kitchen. You can relate to that, can't you? Awesome. Okay. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed toward the kitchen ceiling. Oh, no. And landed right on Henry. And after we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in a pan, plop, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed right on Henry. Look at the look on Henry's face right there. There it goes, flying in the air. So we could relate to that. Not that I do it all the time. Okay, that night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall tale bedtime story he ever told. And it went like this. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 smaller ocean, there lay the tiny town of Chewanswallow. Chewanswallow. And here's Grandpa telling the tall tale. All right, let's see what happens next. The sky's looking a little interesting. Weather talk. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees and gardens around them, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in town of the Chewanswallow. They didn't need any, you see. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. See where we're going with this, right? And the only thing that was really different about Chewanswallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day at breakfast, lunch, and you guessed, dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Take a look at the dog and the cats, too. They're all looking up like Grandpa. Take a look. There's Chewanswallow. There's the main street. Everybody has a regular town. And there they are, checking everything out. Even the dog and the cat. Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain, you see. It never snowed snow. And it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas. And sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. Chewanswallow. It is raining hamburgers. Pretty cool, huh? It's a cool tall tale. Well, the people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, and glasses, forks, knives, spoons, napkins right there with them. That they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. And if there were leftovers, and there usually were, of course, the people took them home and put them in the refrigerators in case they got hungry between these meals. Not too bad, huh? Let's take a look over to the right. And everyone's prepared for the weather. What kind of food is coming out of the sky today? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Wish weather was like that. Simple to forecast. Anyway, the menu varied, you got to see here. At Chewanswallow, by the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down from the sky. And after a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny side up eggs, moved in. They were followed by a piece of toast, you see. Then butter and jelly sprinkled down from the toast. Crazy weather. And most of the time, it rained milk. Right afterwards, this weather event would happen. Had people in a little bit of a flurry. That's my words. Just kidding. So for lunch one day, Frankfurters already in their rolls blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. You hear this coming in? And there were mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. Guess what happened that? Then it started to drizzle. Drizzle of soda just finished off the meal. But look at Granny. She doesn't look too happy here. Oh, see her face? Pretty neat. It only gets better from here. We're halfway through. So dinner one night consisted of lamb chops becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup, periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual clearing with a wonderful Jell-O sitting in the west. Picture that. Wait till you see this Jell-O tower. The sanitation department of Chance had a rather unusual job for our sanitation department. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and the cats. And then they said meow and they barked. They emptied some of it into the surrounding oceans. They had to get rid of this stuff. Couldn't eat it all. For the fish and turtles and whales to eat. See, they get the second helping. The rest of the food was put back into the earth so that the soil would be richer for the people's flowers to grow in their gardens. That's the sanitation department. And there's the Jell-O tower. Isn't that cool looking? Can you imagine that? Just climbing up on that? Okay, life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. Wait, things were going good. The Chew-on-Swallow Digest. Spaghetti ties up town, it says. That was a headline. And one day there was nothing but gorgonzola, cheese, all day long. Okay, maybe you're not in the mood for that. But the next day there were only broccoli, all overcooked. President Bush wouldn't care for that. The late President Bush, that is. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Like that? You have no choice. That's what the weather menu is. And another day there was a pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going and they could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. Here were the headlines, what they read. So it's not looking so good now. Traffic tied up by pasta or spaghetti. And the townspeople, well, some of them happy, some of them not, and some of them have to just take whatever the weather gives you, even at the birthday party. I don't know about you, but I don't like overcooked broccoli. No way. Well, the food was getting larger and larger. Uh-oh, that's a problem. And so were the portions. So the people were getting frightened now. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening now. So one Tuesday, we'll take you to a Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long and into the night, blowing around. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds and some without. There was white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread rolls before in their lifetime. It was a terrible day, you see. Everybody had to stay indoors. Roofs were damaged, and the sanitation department was beside itself. They're like, what are we going to do with all this? We don't even have room for it. So the mess took the workers 4 days to clean up, and the sea was full of floating rolls. To help out the people, they piled up as much bread as they could. And then in their backyards, they did. Birds, they picked a little bit, you know how birds are, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. Can you picture it? Just stale bread all over the place. And there was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup and nearly flooded the towns. See, we weren't even thinking about liquid. Everything's been solid at this point. Now a huge pancake covered the school. I see you smiling. No one could get it off the school because of its weight, and so they had to close the school. See? Many reasons to be concerned about what's coming out of the sky when it comes to food. There's a helicopter up there. See how they're trying to get it? Look at that pancake over to school. Maple syrup dribbling down. Bread getting stale and stale from the birds. Birds don't even want to eat it. So lunch one day brought 15-inch strips of ice cream, cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and then the day ended with a stomach ache. And there was an awful salt and pepper wind accompanied by even the worst tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly, running to avoid those tomatoes all over the place. The town was a mess, and there were seeds and pulp just about everywhere. Start with the kids first. Look at all the sandwiches. You see the look on their face? How would you look if you saw something like that? And a tomato tornado whipping around in the sky. Well, the sanitation department just gave up. Could you imagine that? Just giving up? Trash all over the place of food. Can't get rid of it. The job was just too big for them. Everyone feared for their lives, and they couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses have been badly damaged by these giant meatballs crashing down. This is not like hail now. This is meatballs, understand? The stores were boarded up, and there were no more school for the children. So a decision had to be made to abandon the town of chew on swallow. See, if you didn't, it was a matter of survival at this point. So take a look at the sky with people running, frightened, meatballs crashing through the rooftops. And you thought at first Chew on Swallow was a cool town to live. So you thought. Well, anyway, the people glued together the giant pieces of stale bread sandwich. They're thinking. And they took the stale bread sandwich style with peanut butter and they bound it together. Could you picture that? It took the absolute necessities with them, only what they needed. And then they set sail on their rafts for a new land on their giant wheat bread put together by peanut butter as they traveled on their raft to get them to safety. There they are constructing it, and then they are using it with their sail. Made out of Swiss cheese, by the way. See that? See, it doesn't say that in the book. When the author does this, pictures are part of the storytelling as well, where you can elaborate and you can add your own emphasis on it. It's a great way to learn and to comprehend and to help literacy. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town, which welcomed them. The bread had held up surprisingly well, considering well enough for them to build temporary houses for themselves out of it. So the children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying food at a supermarket. They found it odd, and the food was kept on shelves, packaged in boxes, cans, and bottles. Meat that had to be cooked was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds just above, this is what happens, right above their heads, were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hammer ever again. And nobody dared to go back to Chew on Swallow to find out what happened. What happened, they said. They were just too afraid to even find out. So Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his goodnight kiss. So let's take a look at Chew on Swallow. Left behind to the new town, seeing weather with rain and snow, just like our weather, although we haven't had snow this year. And there's Grandpa telling the story. How many times do you remember a story being told to you? That actually opens our minds and helps reading comprehension. Did you know that? Sometimes just telling a story, even as you're trying to learn how to read, and many people that may not be literate yet in learning, telling a story is a great way to increase your vocabulary and make sense of what someone is saying and really broaden their mind for reading comprehension later in life, especially young kids. The next morning, we wake up to see snow falling outside our window. Is this reality or is this the story? Of course, this is after the story Grandpa told. We woke up in the morning. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa in the snow. It's funny, you see, but even as we were sliding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant patch of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. Imagination when we read. And that is their real town I wonder who that pat of butter is up there on the hill. What do you think? What could that be? What do you guys think? What do you think? Use your imagination. What do you think? It's the sun rising, and that was Grandpa at the top. And there's your mashed potatoes. The end. That was a cloudy with a chance of meatballs. And I hope you really enjoyed as much as I did. And remember, guys, the Chattahoochee Valley Libraries are here to help you. We're always here to help you, keep you reading all spring and right through the summer. I hope you could take advantage of that. Read books, attend virtual programs, even something like this. Log your participation online for a chance to win weekly prize drawings. And you don't have to do it just once. You can enter as many times as you like. And all ages are eligible, and you can enter as often. Please do that. Don't just give up just once. This could be a fun summer ahead, late spring, of course. Each completion means another chance to win prizes. Isn't that cool? Just by reading. So visit this website to register. Take care.